I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Okay, tell me why.
Justin Herbert, Williams, Keenan Allen.
Okay. All right, I guess we got time for
Anybody
one
stopping that
more.
offense?
We'll dive in deeper here. Raiders, Chargers. Who are you backing to win this one, Stephen A?
I don't know. I'm going to go with the Raiders. I'll just go with that.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be.
Welcome to the show. You are one-on-one with Wes the Sports Guy here on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey, and online all the time at westhesportsguy.com. Make sure you bookmark that site if you want to get the weekly reviews in the NFL with the season just underway after week 1 going into week 2. You also want to get my social media links, the podcast link. It is all conveniently located for you at westhesportsguy.com. Cannot stress it enough to bookmark that site. A lot is coming down that pipe at westhesportsguy.com. I'm going to briefly go over what I believe is the worst coaching decision I have ever seen strictly at the NFL level. I've seen some bad coaching decisions at others. I'm not going to get into those details because they're lower levels than the NFL. The NFL is the upper echelon. So the worst coaching decision I have seen so far, there could be another one that gets even worse in week 2 in any of the matchups coming up this weekend. But the one that I have seen that is the worst so far in my years of watching football at the NFL level is the new head coach for the Denver Broncos, Nathaniel Hackett. Why did you attempt a 64-yard field goal, potential game-winning field goal, I will add, instead of going for it on 4th and 5? Not 4th and 20, not 4th and 15, 4th and 5. You needed 5 yards to get the first down with all 3 of your timeouts. To set this up, the Denver Broncos were losing by a point to the Seattle Seahawks 17-16 this last Monday night, the first Monday night game of the season. Nathaniel Hackett has a new quarterback you just gave a lot for. Picks, 3 players. You also gave him a nice, cushy extension to be your quarterback for the foreseeable future in Russell Wilson. He's your guy. You gave up a lot to get him. You want him to lead you to that eventual playoff spot or a potential Super Bowl. That's how much you believe in Russell Wilson, and he does have a Super Bowl ring and also led them to another Super Bowl in consecutive seasons. So, there's no doubt how talented Russell Wilson is and was supposed to be for the Denver Broncos going into the season. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They are down by a point. They're driving on their last drive of the game to all they need is a field goal. Again, only down by a point. You then get a pass from Russell Wilson to Javonte Williams, one of the running backs for the Denver Broncos, who makes something out of nothing. It was 3rd and long, and now it becomes 4th and 5. Just under a minute left in the game. Just under a minute. Now keep in mind, they still have all 3 of their timeouts. Just under a minute left. Tick. Tock. The clock is ticking. Still ticking. No urgency to run another play or even just call the timeout. You have 3 at your disposal. Call a timeout right then and there. Save yourself some time. Looking at it from the big picture, I understand why you were letting the clock run because, hey, you do have 3 timeouts. You want to leave as little time as possible for the Seahawks to potentially win the game themselves, assuming you're going to settle for a field goal, which is exactly what Denver was going to do here. Letting the clock run as much as possible. Granted, it's now 4th and 5, so there's a little bit of urgency here to get your stuff in order, but they let the clock continue to tick until it goes all the way down to 20 seconds left in the game. 20 seconds left. Finally, Russell Wilson puts up his hands. Timeout. You're setting up your kicker, Brandon McManus, who not to shit on his career, Brandon McManus is a decent kicker. He's been around for a while. He did make his career long of 61 yards last season. This was in a controlled environment at SoFi Stadium, the LA Chargers and LA Rams home. It's mainly the Rams, but they're letting the Chargers stay there. But this was against the LA Chargers last year in that stadium, the Denver Broncos. Brandon McManus kicked his career-long 61-yard field goal. He's had many long field goal kicks in his career of 50-plus. He's made a lot of them in the thin air of Mile High in Denver, Colorado. This is in the outdoors, in the elements in Seattle. It's not pouring down rain, but still it's an outdoor environment, not thin air, not like Colorado. Brandon McManus is now expected to make this 64-yard field goal to win the game, not even to take it to overtime, to win it, instead of going for it on 4th and 5. And lo and behold, what ends up happening? He misses the kick. It had the distance, but he missed the kick. He even had a quote-unquote warm-up kick because Seattle called one of their few timeouts they had remaining. I think it was their last one that they called to ice Brandon McManus, which I say ice because a lot of times it doesn't work. Not saying it did work in this case, but it's a 64-yard field goal. It's not a gimme. Even some of the best kickers in the NFL currently or in NFL history, they would struggle to make this kick. It's 64 yards. It's not a gimme. I can understand if this kick was in the 50s and you're settling for Brandon McManus, the situation currently how it's set up, I get it. But 64 yards and you don't even go for it on 4th and 5? It's 4th and 5. Like I said, not 4th and long. 4th and 5. You have one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. You give up a lot to get, but you decided to attempt a 64-yard game-winning field goal. I get it all. But in this moment, you do not kick this field goal. You don't attempt this field goal. I understand you're down by a point, but the point needs to be made constantly about this decision that it was not the right one. 100 times out of 100, I'm given this scenario, I'm going for it on 4th down. I will have all the confidence in my kicker in the world, but a 64-yard field goal, holy crap, that is an insane distance. It's not a gimme for anybody. I don't care who you are. Even Sebastian Janikowski back in the day for the Raiders. He wasn't making these field goals with ease. He made it look difficult attempting these long field goal kicks. He's made his fair share of his career, but this isn't a gimme. 64 yards. Again, he had the distance. It was close. It went to the left. He missed. Game is over at that point. You saved your timeouts. You finally used one to give yourself 20 seconds for a potential game-winning field goal. I understand the defense, but I do not agree with the decision. You need to go for it in that situation. You have to. Considering what you gave up to get this guy, Russell Wilson put the game in his hands. It was perfectly set up for this. His reunion, Seahawk fans didn't like it. I'm not going to get into that. They can boo him all they want, and he can reciprocate that, or he could just take the punches. Seemed to be taking the punches. But again, this was him coming back to Seattle. It was set up perfectly. Dream Cinderella scenario, and it was blown. Didn't work out. But I have to stress again, this was the worst coaching decision I've seen at the NFL level, and it could easily be topped. What are your worst NFL coaching decisions that you've ever seen? Leave a comment below. If you like what you hear on this channel, leave a like at YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, or Odyssey. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell below to get notified when all the latest videos are posted on this channel, whether it be at YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, or Odyssey. Bookmark westthesportsguy.com. All the social media links, the podcast link. Leave a 5-star review if you like what you're listening to on all the various podcast platforms. The link is conveniently located for you at westthesportsguy.com. Weekly reviews of the NFL coming down the pipe. Lots more in the very near future. Cannot wait to share that with you. Thank you again for tuning in. I will see you next time.